Hey, so this video is going to be me talking about my Picotron vector graphics library and editor. If you don't know what Picotron is, I would look it up now. I'll have a link in the video description. The basic explanation of what the library is it draws vector graphics. Here is like a vector sprite that I made. As you can see, like it can scale, rotate, and it looks good regardless. You can see the performance in the top right. This kind of graphics is you're gonna have to like keep in mind the capabilities of Picotron if you are using this stuff. Like I'll link to the demo and the Veditor in the description. So that you can check these things out. But yeah, in the demo, you can click to advance through different demos. So there's this, like I think this was about as many stars as I could draw at once in keeping it 60 frames a second. There's a clock here. There is like a little seam tearing in the bottom there. That's just because of like a sub-pixel setting. I will probably talk about that later. But basically you can disable that or enable it. It's just a bit of a trade-off for different things. It has a wireframe mode. It has a simple triangle drawing function. So like you can see it's drawing a triangle, not taking up much CPU usage at all. So if you're looking to like make your own vector stuff, or maybe you just like need a triangle drawing function, the library has it. There's outlines, and here's like a sprite that I copy pasted from the editor. So that's basically it for the demo. So the stuff that I will actually go over in the video in more depth is the vector graphics editor, and also how to include graphics that you make in the editor in your own Picotron projects. Let's just make sure that we're in a fresh startup of Picotron, so that you can see we can keep an eye on the RAM. So this is just this kind of standard starting stuff, but when we run Veditor and then hit save, you will see, if we look into the RAM, it has created a VGFX folder and also a file there. So the working folder for the editor is in like your system RAM. So if you have current like a project opening, a project that you are working on and it's open, it will make this file inside that project. So just be aware of that if you are running it as like an application like this. The first thing that like you can probably just learn and then just skip the rest of this video is that this has a help system. You can bring it up from the menu here. You can press F1, or there's also like a little question mark button in the on the user interface here. So you just press that anytime you're stuck. You can go over like different categories of stuff. I'm sorry that my head is kind of covering some of these, but there's like general stuff, explanation of all of the tools, the snapping behavior and shortcuts and things like that, colors, fills, layers. Like I'm going to go over all of this, so we're not going to like go into it detail here, but it is all of the information that you need to use this stuff is right there. So anytime you need you get stuck or something, you can check that. Also, you can mouse over basically any control, and you can see in the bottom left there, it will describe, you know, what the button is, and like if there's a shortcut for it, it will say that as well. Right, so the basic usage is everything is layers. Every layer is either a polygon, which is like this filled thing here, so it's a shape with points and edges, so you can see like the edges make up the shape, and I can add points, which adds edges, and yeah, you can see like I've got the point tool selected. This is the the tool you'll probably be using the most, and it's for moving points around and adding points. You can see right click just deletes points as well. You can see which edge will be subdivided, like the one closest to the mouse has like a slight yellow thing. So if I click out here, I know that it's going to make a point out of that line there. So boom, it snaps up. So there's some feedback there. There's some other ways of like breaking up lines. You can press the number keys to like make a certain amount of subdivision. So I make 3 cuts in here with the 3 key, 1, 2, 3, and that's a good way of like doing it. And you know that like the length of this is the same as the length of that. Yeah, so that's basically editing polygons with points. I will talk about this since you can see this like dotted line here. If I hold W, you can see like that's where an edge is. This is a rendering issue with sub-pixel precision. Basically, it's trying to draw vector art using floating points, and it's displaying it on like a pixelated grid. It's a bit awkward. If you go into the menu, there's settings. There's also a button in the bottom right, a little spanner wrench there. You can disable subpixels for sharper rendering, and you can do this in your projects as well. And that will, as far as I can tell, always fix this issue. Like if the vertices are in the same place, the edge between them will not have a seam. The downside is that rotations, if you have like any slow rotations, they won't look quite as smooth. Same with scaling and stuff. For the most part, it will look pretty good. I think like in the demo, this sprite here has a lot of seams and like little awkward artifacts in it with subpixels enabled. So I've disabled it here, and as you can see, like at this kind of speed and movement, it looks pretty good, I think. Like it doesn't look non-smooth or anything, but you should be aware it does have a slight overhead for disabling subpixels because it has to floor every vertex position, so it's a little extra processor drain, so that's why it's the way it is by default. Layers can also be lines. So there's a couple of ways of like having the polygon work. I'm not going to go into it. The help details it. Most of the time you just want ear clip triangulation, and that's fine. You can also click this to have lines. Let's just hide that layer. You can see like these are the points that I laid out. And if you want the line to be closed, you can just do that as well. And it works the same when you're editing it. It's just a line. You can also style your polygons. You can have a color, just left click. If you shift click, you can set like the color A, and control click sets color B. And if you right click, you can give it an outline. Let's give it something that's a bit more contrasty than. Let's make the colors darker so you can see the outline. There is an outline, it is blue. So right click will do that or disable it. So if you have, let's make a more distinct pattern there. So if you have 2 colors on a layer, you can choose a fill pattern to change how it appears. Now you could probably notice, like, if you just like look at a single pixel on this, like a point on it, and I start panning, that pixel is not moving. The fill patterns are fixed to the screen. They do not move with the thing. This is partly an artifact of the technique that I'm using, but also I think it's just a cool stylistic option, and just something to keep in mind if you are making like motion graphics with this stuff. And layers generally, you know, they work like layers do in other applications. You can control click to multiple select, you can shift click to like select a block, you can hide layers, move them up and down, rename them. Just, you know, whatever you need to do with layers, you can do them here. Also, in the bottom right is the sprite list. So I've tried to make the application as much like Picotron's graphics editor as possible. So like this has like an atlas of like all different sprites that you can select. The editor here is exactly the same. But instead of Picotron's and Pico 8's kind of limited thing, like there's only, how many sprites can we have? 255, which is a reasonable amount. But I've opted not to limit it, so you can just keep scrolling and clicking and just like go as far as you want and make as many sprites as you want. But any off like the end of the list that you don't do anything with will just disappear. So there needs to be like something in it for it to count as a sprite. Anyway, that's the basics of like what like each sprite is. Each sprite is a set of layers. Each layer is either a polygon or a line. And the polygons and lines can be styled with colors and patterns. So your options for actually editing the lines are like, as I've already said, the point tool over here. You can also rotate, you can hold control as you rotate to snap that stuff. There's the move tool, which is, you know, it does the same thing. Hold control and it will snap it to your grid. Scale tool, snap again if you want it very fixed, or just leave it, you know, nice and smooth. And the pan tool is just, you know, it does panning. You can also just hold space, so you can pan with any other tool as well. You can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel or the buttons, or even the added little things here. You can also shift and mouse wheel if you want like tinier steps, instead of like, you know, specific increments. Same with the thing. If you want to like just see how smoothly your stuff is scaling, you can, you know, hold shift and press plus and minus to get some nice smooth scaling in there. Next icon along is the pivot. So you can see when I rotate this, it's around the center of the current layer. You can, you know, rotate multiple layers, but it will always rotate around like whichever layer is current. It has like a little bar next to it in the layer view, the little gray bar over here. But the pivot can be changed to the origin, like, so basically the 0, 0 location in the thing, and then, you know, everything will rotate around there, even if it's offset or whatever. So you can set that to work how you want. That affects scaling as well. So scaling, by the default, it's a centroid. You can also scale it from the origin. And I think this setting also affects whether when we flip things. Yeah, so if I'm flipping, that's flipping around the origin. If I flip here, it's flipping around the centroid. And so these keys are F to flip horizontally and V to flip vertically. Same as the graphics editor in Picotron. Snapping, there are a lot of snapping options. I'm not going to go into all of them in detail. They are described in the help, but this little crocodile is the snapping icon. You can hold control to snap. If his mouth is closed, then snapping is enabled, and you can toggle like whether it's, you know, always on or always off, and then hold control to toggle that. The default snapping is to the grid, so you can see like if I'm dragging whilst holding control, it's snapping the points to the grid. So this is useful. I use it a lot for when I'm making text and things like that, or anything that kind of needs to be you know, specific. I find that grid snapping is grand. You can snap to pixels. By default, the grid is 16 by 16. So if I'm snapping here, it'll be like to 1/16 of the grid. I'll need to zoom in pretty far for you to actually see the snap, but you can see it there, like little itsy bitsy boop boop. So it's like each one digit of here. Like if I don't have snapping on, you can see like my cursor is at, you know, some non-pixel value, but if I hold control, you can see it's very rigid. It's either one point or the next. There is also point snapping. So if I wanted to snap this to like a point on like a different layer, I can totally do that. So so you can see like it's totally working around that other layer. So you can use like layers as guides, or you know, whatever, like whatever works for you. You can also snap to edges. So this will just like slide along this edge here as I'm holding control. And I think if I hold shift at the same time, it will also like optionally snap to the center of the edge. So if you really want like a center edge snap, you can use that. Undo, redo, they work like you're used to. You can reset the view by clicking the little zoom display there. There is a guide, this rectangle here. This is, by default, it's the size of the Pico 8 screen at its highest resolution. You can change that in the settings and like how it's aligned and stuff. A lot of the time you can just disable it. You won't need it for anything, but if you need like a reference frame to like know if you're making things the right size, or like how it measures up or anything like that, you can use the guide for that. You can hide the grid. You can change the background if it's more suitable for you. Like you can also like go into detail and actually like change the specific color of the background by pressing the right shortcut keys and stuff. That's all described in the help. I'm not going to go over it in detail here, but you can basically customize this to look how you want and make it work for whatever your current project is, or whatever your current sprite in your current project is. But I'm going to stick with this for now. The information is this stuff that you see, like the cursor position. It'll also like tell you what the current operation is, like it's scaling 1.5 there. And it also tells you the stats of the current thing. I would say keep in mind that like for the stats here, some of the like CPU usage is drawing Veditor itself, so it's not just the cost of the thing. If you want to like just see the cost of just your graphics that you're working on, you can disable everything, hit tab, and like that's a much better thing. So it's like 0.083 CPU usage there. And then we bring back everything else, and it's, oh look, we've got to 0.3. So like the editor itself has CPU costs. So if you're trying to like do the maths on things, keep that in mind, that the editor has an overhead. So yeah, and I showed that you can press tab to go full view. You can also shift tab if you prefer your menu on the left. I sometimes do, but like since this is where my camera is, I will not obscure it right now. And that's basically an overview of the editor itself. I'll load up, hang on a second, let's close Veditor, replace this file that we were just working on with one I made earlier. So this is the graphics that are included. So if you load VGFX and then hit run whilst VGFX is in RAM, you'll get to see all of these. And this includes like some of the demo sprites and just things that I made as I was working on the editor to make sure that I knew what it could do. So I feel like these are a good demonstration of the capabilities of the thing. Oh, and you can, even if you're in full screen view, you can press comma and period to like step between different sprites. So if you need to, if you're doing like animation and you've got frame by frame stuff happening, you can use that to like preview it. I think that's most everything that the editor can do. So I will talk about how to actually use this stuff in your own project. So I'll reboot again so that we've got a fresh coat of paint. And I will create a new sprite. We'll get rid of this stuff. And what's a reasonable sprite to want to test with? Let's make a little person. Like it doesn't have to be amazing, but let's make it somewhat nice anyway. Okay, so we have a person, a face. You can see that right now it's offset like this here is the origin point. I'm going to want that a bit closer to the center, I think. Actually, let's make it like a little bit above because I'll place it at the mouse so the mouse won't obscure the face this way. Let's hit save it. And when we check RAM cartridge, we can see we have a VGFX, and that is the file that contains our sprite. And it could contain like many others, but like sprite 0 is our happy little face. Whilst we're here, we also want to, like, I know that I'm covering this, but there is an option here saying copy vgfx.lua to RAM. If we select that, and then check RAM, we can see that we have our like vector graphics library. So if I open it up, you can see like an explanation of how to use it and whatnot. And the main thing is just load VGFX path to my file. So let's put that inside of our main thing. So we load our VGFX, and the file should be slash VGFX slash 0.VGFX. And I think that should work. Let's just run it and see. Oh, no. Oh, right. Don't forget to include VGFX Lua. We copied the file to RAM, but we need to make sure that it's actually included in our program. Attempts to get... Sorry, I forgot to put the thing in there. Okay, so now it's loaded. Okay, we're not getting any errors. So, sorry. That is the path by default. Need to remember to include the stuff. I mean, I'll leave that on screen for a moment. That's basically it to get VGFX into your program and to load the graphics that you have made. To draw them, we have a sprite vector function. I'm going to pass 0 because it was sprite 0, which is our happy face, and we're going to put it at 100 by 100. That's where on the screen we're going to draw it. So I've put the sprite v function inside the draw thing just so that it draws properly. I hit run and it's working now. You can see the thing. I can get the mouse position. And put the sprite over the mouse. Probably want to clear the screen then, huh? Okay, so we have a working sprite. We can also, because it's vector graphics, I can simply rotate it. As you can see, going nice and smooth around there. And I can also scale it. Time. What on earth am I thinking? Let's say sin of the time, because otherwise it's going to get wild. +1. So there we go. It's scaling as well. So that's basically how to get sprites into your app. So it is basically just if you get the editor, you type load hash Veditor. That will get you the latest version of the editor from the BBS, and you can copy the library to your projects from here. And yeah, like I say, all of the help and stuff is included. So hopefully that's enough to get you started, or at least to explain what it is I've been doing this past month. Hey, so it is a little later in the day, and I thought I would re-record the video outro. But at least I have something to play whilst these credits are going down here, and up there, but those are staying there. I mentioned that it took a month to make this. I think that's about right. Honestly, I would rather have been working on something that made some money. So if like this was at all valuable to me, maybe you would like to join one of these cool people. Check out my Patreon or send a one-off donation through my Ko-fi. I would very much appreciate that. Bloody. Also, the other reason I wanted to re-record an exit or record a different exit, outro, whatever this is I did a bunch of editing to this video, and one of the things that I edited out was all of my ticks. And this is partly to keep the video safe for work, and because I know that Pico 8 and potentially Picotron 2 have a younger audience, and I would like, if I'm making things in this realm, to be accessible to such an audience. But also, once I started doing it, I kind of started cutting out all of the ticks, and that felt kind of inauthentic in itself, like I don't want to broadcast the ticks, but also I felt weirdly uncomfortable cutting them all out. So I wanted just a video of me talking whilst ticking, and bloody and yeah, just as like a reminder that it's a thing. Like representation is hard to find, and like it's not something I'm happy with. Like if I could get rid of the ticks, I would. It's not like, it's not like my autism or something like that I'm quite happy with. The ticks are annoying. So like that's part of why I wanted to cut them out. Just like it's nice to see a version of myself that doesn't tick. But I do tick, and I think people should kind of be used to it, So anyway, that's basically what I'm saying. Hey, that's the end of the video, I guess. Bye.